The pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria has room for growth and can potentially reach $4 billion over the next 10 years. This is hoping that the economic growth levels will be such that can propel gross domestic product per capita levels to close to $4,000 over the next decade.
And at no time in recent years have we had the challenge of pharmaceuticals. As with the issue of vaccines now, am I right? Drugs, for most of last year. We were praying that eventually some vaccines would be confirmed by the World Health Organization and having been clinically certified to be applied to you and me. Tell me, which type of plants don't we have? From the forest there up to the Sudan, the savanna areas, and so on and so forth. And these plants have substances that can be extracted and characterized, and my oh my, they solve the problems of diseases in a manner you never would have expected. Thank God, the Ministry of Health is setting aside funds for research for both vaccines and drugs. We are aware that there are a number of research institutes, medical and otherwise, veterinary, as well as NIPRIT, as we know, Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. They have been working in collaboration, NVRI VOM, NIPRIT, Lagos, for the purpose of especially the phytodrugs.
Dr. Obi Peter Adigwe is the Director General of the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development and a member of TETFund's RDSC, serving as the Deputy Coordinator of the Pharmaceutical Group.
I'd like to put on record that TETFund was actually one of those groups that were foresighted enough to begin to look in this direction even before the pandemic hit the shores of the country. Myself and a few other colleagues for close to a decade now had been preaching the mantra for us to start to develop local solutions to problems that come up in our settings, and that's why we came up with the concept of medicine security. So kudos to TETFund for being one of the forerunners in that particular arena to identify that there is an urgent and important need for Nigerian scientists to be in a position where we can contribute to addressing our own healthcare needs.
In December 2020, the world was struck by a pandemic, the effects of which were unprecedented. The COVID-19 scourge ravaged both the health sector and the economies of almost every country. After many months of massive investment in R&D by several advanced nations, a number of vaccines were developed and have since been deployed in probably the most ambitious global logistic effort in history. But what role has Nigeria played in all this? The development and deployment of vaccines have provided great opportunity for wealth to countries that have the knowledge. This is a pointer towards what Nigeria's pharmaceutical industry needs to achieve.
It's obviously early days, so we can't say exactly how much the RDSC and the foundation that will come out has been able to contribute to COVID, the response to the COVID pandemic. But already the signs are there. Currently, the nation, as well as the rest of Africa, is suffering for our lack of capacity to develop vaccines and other relevant interventions. However, some of the key issues that have come up in the pharmaceuticals group, as well as in other cross-cutting groups that we have engaged with, have indicated that, number one, phytomedicines is an area where Nigeria has a comparative advantage, and where we need to start building capacity. We need to start ramping up capabilities so that we can start harnessing those capabilities. You may be aware that the agency, which I head, recently developed a phytomedicine called Niprimune, which is based on the plant Andrographis paniculata. And we're pushing to go to clinical trials for COVID-19 for that particular drug. Our colleagues in Thailand, who incidentally have had better funding, already use that particular phytomedicine to manage COVID-19. And so that's the importance of what TED Fund is doing today, bringing doctors, pharmacists, and all other professionals that can contribute to undertaking successful clinical trials, as well as providing a mechanism for ready and available funding for those clinical trials to be expedited. If all those things are in place, the next time we have a pandemic, we won't be looking to the West for responses.
Nigeria is uniquely poised to become a world leader in pharmaceuticals because of its closeness to raw materials required for this industry, petroleum processes, and an abundance of herbs.
You have a significant proportion coming from the flora that exists in the country. Those are the phytomedicines. But you also have medicines of petrochemical origin. So medicines that can actually come from our petroleum industry. You know, petrochemicals are now transformed into active pharmaceutical ingredients, which now go into the production of drugs. So whether you're talking of medicines of phytomedicinal origin or medicines of petrochemical origin, Nigeria is blessed in both areas. And those two things have come up in our discussions in the pharmaceuticals group. There is an urgent and important need to develop our capacity in phytomedicinal medicine production. And there is an urgent and important need to develop our capacities, link up with the petroleum group to develop medicines and APIs, that's active pharmaceutical ingredients, from the petrochemical and petroleum sector. So we're looking at both scenarios.
There are a few challenges that the industry will have to confront to be able to grow and achieve levels of importance that are meaningful. These issues include expanding access to wholesome medicines and good pharmacy care for more Nigerians, distinguishing between the practice and the business of pharmacy, achieving inclusion of various stakeholders within the industry, and getting the regulators to facilitate the business of pharmaceuticals. Nigeria will need to build comparative manufacturing advantage and drive sustainable growth in the pharmaceutical industry while positioning it as a priority sector over the next few years.
We are sure of achieving medicine security for our people. Medicine security is a concept that we came up with a few years ago, which argues that unless a people are able to guarantee the production and provision of high quality, safe and affordable medicines for its population, that country will not be able to ensure that that population has good access to healthcare. It's not rocket science, but we've been preaching it for years, and it took the COVID pandemic to open everybody's eyes that this is what we need to be doing right now. So if we're able to articulate and harness these two streams, what we'll be doing is providing high quality healthcare for our people. But at the same time, we will be able to stimulate socio-economic development. We would have industries on both sides that will be employing Nigerians. So there will be a massive generation of jobs and employment. There will be capacity building. So people who previously used to farm plants and export the plants or just let the plants go to waste, there will be a whole industry that will look at processing those plants. There will be a whole industry that will be looking at getting those plants to the manufacturing line, either in teas, in capsules, in decoctions, or whatever form that it needs to get to. That's all capacity building. Then there is also the obvious knowledge transfer, and obviously revenue generation for both the government as well as the individuals that are engaged in the different sections of the value chain.
Leveraging R&D for sustainable national development and global positioning have been modeled by different countries around the world. Nigeria's economic challenges and insecurity can be mitigated using R&D outcomes and outputs, as well as problem-solving research overall, as a tool for a 21st century knowledge economy. And that is the paradigm shift.